guys, full of information you don't want to miss. A veteran show for all veterans. Welcome Major Andrew White, retired, and Marine helicopter pilot Chuck Wright.
Hey.
Hoorah! And welcome back. Man, do we have a fun show. You know, I love seeing that smile because guess what? I know one of the reasons why we have that smile right now. College football
is back.
And
even though my guys got crushed on Saturday,
yeah,
it's still better to be watching college football
than virtually
just
anything
about
else.
anything else at all.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a good thing. You know, Chuck and I, we may disagree on a lot of things, but I think that is one thing we both agree. There is really not much better than watching college football. And our service academies.
Yeah,
right,
we're going to focus. We're going to focus. Today's show is going to focus on the Commander-in-Chief Trophy, the games that are around it. We're going to talk about the Navy Air Force game. It's one of the things that I absolutely love, and I'll go back and we'll wrap up. We'll talk a little about Army Navy, which is one of the all-time classic football games.
No, it's a number 2. Longest running rivalry games.
Okay.
You know
in
who
that
number 1
case,
is?
no, I don't. So who is number 1?
Harvard, Yale.
I was going to say Harvard, Princeton.
Yep.
Harvard, Yale. Interesting.
You know, and I think
and
it's only
I used
by
to know
about,
what the trophy was for that.
Oh,
I think it's like an abacus or something. I don't know.
Something weird. But
Something
it's only by a
would
couple
use.
games. I think it's like, you know, maybe like a 7 or 8 year.
Well, Princeton has more national football titles than anybody.
Did not know
Even
that.
Bama. Even
Which is
including
hard
the
to
ones.
believe.
Bama claims a whole lot of them that are like, who is that guy? But
Well,
no.
Bama has a minor league NFL team out
A minor
there.
league NFL team.
But
Yeah,
we
I'm
also gotta
convinced
talk
that
about,
Nick Saban sold his soul to the devil.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no question.
But we also got to talk about how this new NFL rules, or not NFL rules, excuse me, new college rules with the likeness
NIL.
is going to affect our service academies. You know, you think
Will it affect the service academies
yes,
at all?
And I had a conversation with a West Pointer this weekend about this.
So
Service
hang
academies-
on. Anybody in the audience who doesn't know what we're talking about, the NCAA has changed the rules so that now players, NCAA players, college players, can get paid for use of their likeness. And it's NIL, and I'm not sure what the letters stand for, but they just refer to it as NIL.
But
which caused my partner in crime over here some confusion. He thought it was the NFL, but
no.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and here's where we're talking about where it's going to affect our service academies. As is our service academies, we draw not the top line blue chip players to go to service academies. You know, the requirements to get into us are a little different than Alabama.
Little bit harder.
Little bit harder.
You don't get any waivers to play football.
Exactly. So, you know, we already have that going against us to begin with.
Yep.
But now add the fact that how is the DOD going to manage the likeness of it for, you know, that's going to be a major jag issue because remember, these guys all play at the same, every student there receives money to go to school. They're all scholarship students over there. Yeah. It's going to be different rules because they're not traditional schools as far as how it's going to affect those players. I
actually don't think it'll be any different. When you think about it, it's somebody getting paid for something, the use of their likeness.
But it's different because, remember, they're all already taken an oath in there. And just like when I served or you served, could you be a Wiley X helicopter promo guy in uniform? I don't think you.
Not in uniform, but remember, they'll either be in civilian clothes or in football uniform.
But they will be. Remember, they're uniform 24/7. They're getting paid 24/7.
No, they don't have to be in uniform 24/7.
No, but I mean the fact that there's.
I mean, it'll clearly be off duty, but I don't think it's going to be.
There's some restrictions that they're going to have, and I was talking with the West
probably
Pointers,
going to have a few.
That may affect us as far as our recruiting class, but that also, you know, makes these next service academies really interesting on what's going to happen to them. I mean, think about defense contractors, you know, that want to get these young guys out there. It could have some implications. And I don't know how JAG's going to view it either. That's an
I
interesting.
I don't think it's going to be a major issue. It is a major issue for the colleges because you're going to continue to see
The rich are going to get richer.
the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer because there is a limited crop of really talented players. But I will say this.
What's that?
I will say this. And I'm actually a big believer that this could actually be salvation for a lot of programs because a lot of schools
I know where you're going with that, and I
desperately try to play D1 football. And
Like
the
UT, for example, they try to play D1 football.
they try to play D1 football. Do you even have a college?
I support the school. Actually, right now, Michigan State.
Oh, that's right. Michigan State, you have a new one.
I have
You have a new one. Yeah, and Michigan State's another team that won a lot of national titles back in the day, but has fallen on harder and harder times.
We're looking good right now.
Are they? Yeah, that's true.
We've
That's
had
true.
some quality wins.
I've always been a minor Michigan State fan just because I thought they had some of the coolest helmets out there.
Yes, we do.
Michigan State, UCLA, UW, which for those who don't know, that's the University of Washington. Back before they built that big Jumbotron, they had a horseshoe stadium, and the open end of the horseshoe looked out over Lake Washington.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
people would drive their yachts and their big boats and their sailboats and stuff up and literally watch the game from the water.
Them and doesn't Tennessee, because they call it the Tennessee Navy?
Yes.
They have
Yeah.
something similar to that?
And I think Tennessee's done it now so those guys can't see the game. Although that stadium sits on a bluff. So I think those people just travel to the game on a boat. And then
I
they
got you.
go to the
I
game
knew
itself.
about the Tennessee Navy.
Yeah, there's Tennessee Navy, yeah, and those are really cool traditions.
Yep.
It's one of the reasons Baylor built what I lovingly refer to as the toilet seat. Their stadium does. It looks like a toilet bowl. Looks like it's got a great big toilet seat on top of it. And I'm sorry, I'm
Hey,
not,
we don't have
not
any,
a big Baylor fan.
we
I'm
have
sorry,
no money
Susan
going
Peel.
there. You know?
Your Honor, boy, I better never show up in her court.
Oh, I hope not, man. You
She'll
did,
hammer me.
Oh, yeah.
And for those who don't know, Susan Peel is one of our judges over in Denton County, an absolutely outstanding lady. And her son went to the University of Texas.
Nice.
I believe he's graduated from there. So wonderful young man. But anyway,
So
I
back
think
to-
NIL is going to drastically change, and it's going to continue to put a wedge between the haves and the have-nots.
Unquestionable. I mean, I think right now, and we both probably agree with this thing, like your big name programs like Alabama, Clemson, well, Notre Dame.
I'm worried some of these Alabama players may have to take a pay cut with this NIL.
That is possible.
A couple of them took a pay cut going to the NFL.
Yeah. but those are the programs that are going to be interesting to
Oh, yeah.
watch.
Yeah. The big dogs will be able to really, and I think there will. I think there is certainly some opportunities for some alumni to really play with these rules. On the other side of the coin, the capitalist pig in me 100% supports this.
For too long, I mean, now I know I'm probably bringing up a bad school for y'all, but like USC, I mean, remember that Reggie Bush team? I mean,
Yeah, we beat them.
I know y'all did, but
USC doesn't bother me at all, my friend.
but those players
We got
who got
scoreboard.
penalized,
Yeah,
now
very much.
And let's just face it, I mean, they were probably the best pro college team at the time.
Not in 2005.
Not
they
2005,
weren't.
yeah.
They got beat.
They got beat by y'all. Yeah, we'll give that.
I will be, if I am being completely candid, I am really glad we didn't have to face the 2004 team.
Oh, they were nasty.
That may have actually, that would have been an interesting game. That was a much better team, their 2005 team. A lot of people thought 2005 was better, and I was like, how do you figure? Because they lost a bunch of guys to the NFL.
Yep.
Now, the 2005 is actually played in 2006 national title game between Texas and USC. Not only considered the greatest NCAA college football title game ever, but I want to stay out of the starting 44. So both teams starting 22, but really out of those two teams, I want to say they put 40 or 50 guys into the NFL. It was ridiculous. Not all at once.
Right, but over.
Yeah.
I mean,
the guys
they
that
had
hit
quality,
that field that night.
quality players. But let's go back to what we're really focusing on.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you, we've gotten off track.
But you want to know what? It brings us back to where we focus on. Let's start off with the first big game that we had. Let's talk about Air Force Navy.
And we're going to talk about why, because it actually, Navy fought hard, just don't really have that great a team this year.
Keep in mind, Navy for about a 14-year period.
Oh, yeah.
Navy was the premier service academy football program.
Oh, yeah.
You know, hands down. Their coach, I can never pronounce his last name.
I don't think anybody on the planet can.
Yeah, I mean, it's got like 12 letters in it or something like that. Coach N, you know.
Yeah, big Polynesian guy, extremely good head coach.
Awesome guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's
and
great.
if we can
we
throw
put
up the picture
some of the helmets
uniforms.
and all that uniforms.
Let's
Let's go with the Navy uniform.
Man.
In fact, I did this just
Check
for
this
you.
out, folks.
Just for you, my friend, I did this. This was the new Navy uniform. And I came out, service academies, not like Oregon, they have a couple different uniforms. Oregon never plays the same.
No, they play a different uniform every game, I think.
Which is cool for them. But here's a Navy uniform. And this was paid homage to the Marine Corps. And it is a replica of the famous dress blues that the Marines are known for. And I have to say, that is one darn good looking uniform.
Oh, I am going to.
Do you have one yet?
I do not. I've got to figure out how to order one. You can't order it online. I'm shocked.
Are you kidding me?
I'm shocked.
I am shocked. That would be a monster fundraiser.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I bet you by the end of the season they're going to be available somewhere.
And unfortunately, right now, I don't know anybody at the Naval Academy. I do have some friends that are hanging out in Annapolis. I'm going to ask them who they know.
Someone's got to know someone.
Yeah, I got to get me one of those. That's just an awesome looking jersey.
It looks great, you know, the helmet.
And you've got the Eagle Globe and Anchor, the Marine Corps emblem on the side of the helmet.
But this was done especially for 9/11 this year, 20 years.
Yep.
Great. I mean, like I said, as an Army guy, I have to say that's probably one of the better looking uniforms we've come up with. You know, it looks classy.
Yes,
you know,
it really does.
There's really no argument in that one. That's just a classy looking jersey uniform. It looked good. Unfortunately, that's where the good part of the Navy game ended.
That was the best part of the Navy game
when
was
they
the
ran on the field with those uniforms. It went south quickly after that.
Well, and you say that, but in all honesty, Navy fought hard. It's one of the things we were talking about before, and I want to go back. You were talking about Navy had a 14-year run where they were just dominant.
They owned both
I
schools.
think it was last year was the first year that Army had won in a while.
No.
Second?
Army's won 3 out of the last 4.
Okay. So it hasn't happened much.
No.
But Army completely outclassed Navy last year, and that game came down pretty much to the final minute. Navy played their hearts out. I love watching these guys. I served with a couple of guys.
And I know the record means going into the game,
nothing.
Every game I've ever seen of Army Navy, you could be winless, and the other team could be undefeated. And I'll tell you what, every one of those games turns into a just
absolutely.
You do not get up out of your seat at all.
No, it's just great play after great play.
Because there's more heart in those games
absolutely
than anything else. You know, agreed, 100%. I don't care if you're a fan of any one of the service academies. If you want to watch the best entertainment football for the money, is any one of the service academies against each other.
And I want to come back to that point because that was kind of where I was driving to, and I was talking about the salvation. You know, we happen to broadcast the show from Frisco, Texas, even though we're pushing this out across the globe. And we have in Frisco, Texas, every year the FCS championship game. This is what most people would call D2 football. And let me tell you, the quality of football is excellent.
Oh,
absolutely excellent. It is generally a great game. Certainly worth seeing. For years, Michelle and I had season. You could get season tickets back then, and they've done away with that system. And I got to break the code to figure out how to start getting tickets every year.
You know someone or two in Frisco. I bet.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there are a couple of elected officials that they always manage to get their hands on like 100. and then they scalp them off. Not real crazy about that because we got lots of citizens that want to go every year, but yeah, I've got some great pictures.
Right.
It's a great game. But this is the point. And when you look at the Army-Navy game, very much. And we were talking about these uniforms were premiered for last weekend's Air Force-Navy game. And let's pop up the
let's get
Air Force because
Yeah.
they were actually pretty cool too.
Yep.
Might need to bring that one up bigger. Do you know what
And I have
UAM UTP means? It was on all of the jerseys.
I do not know.
I have absolutely no clue. And in the smaller picture down to the left of your screen, I actually wanted to see if we could find a close-up of the helmet. They were actually pretty cool. That is the old style.
For the B-52.
Well, for all of the Air Force
Yep.
planes. Or, excuse me, for all of the Army Air Corps planes.
Yep.
And I believe that mock-up is actually from Vietnam.
It is. And it was also paying tribute. One of the things, which that could be part of what that is on the back of the uniform. This uniform is to honor the B-52 pilots.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's interesting. So,
If you go, there's another picture on there. If we have, Nate, if you wouldn't mind, if it gets a little close up to what it is.
and Nate obviously doesn't know where our dropping bombs. Knowledge
our
bombs
knowledge
is what
bombs.
we call them. We got another.
Dropping
There we go.
dropping knowledge warheads on foreheads.
You gotta love it.
Yep, and that's
Absolutely
also
gotta
a
love
really
it.
good-looking uniform. You know, Air Force. I mean, yeah, the lightning bolt's really cool and all that, but that looks pretty cool.
I need to get. You'll get a kick out of it. So I don't know if you know this. We're going to tangent for a second.
Shocker.
Yeah. So I went to school on Randolph Air Force Base.
Yep, I knew that.
There are 2 high schools in the country, in the continental United States, not counting Alaska and Hawaii, although I think both of those school districts have closed as well. But they are the last 2 remaining independent school districts, and they are, in fact, independent school districts. That territory is marked by the boundaries of a military installation. The other one is Cole High School, which is the boundaries of Fort Sam Houston, and needless to say, both in San Antonio, and they were our big rival every year. So we patterned, to a degree, our uniforms after the Air Force Academy.
Right.
Although our first and for the longest time only head coach, and he's since passed away, his nephew became a Marine, ran the Texas Veterans Land Board for a long time, Bob Mickler. So Bob Mickler was my coach, and Jim Bob was his nephew, and Jim Bob and I have had a few conversations about it. Bob Mickler was a bit of a character, but
You'd have to be.
He liked to be really classy. So our uniforms were actually nicer than the Air Force Academy. And instead of the blue and white, which is kind of bland, it was royal blue and a really deep silver. And we used lightning bolts, only not the Air Force Academy lightning bolt. We used the San Diego Charger lightning bolts.
Very cool. The arc.
Yeah,
I
the
like
arced
it.
ones. And we would literally win games. We would walk onto the field and our uniforms and it would actually intimidate the other teams.
I like it.
Actually intimidate other teams. So it was actually kind of cool. So I like telling that story, but I like what the Air Force Academy and Navy is doing to make these uniforms look better.
And it wasn't always this way. They've only started doing it over the last,
Yeah, it's
10
been
years or less?
fairly recently.
I like it. And like every year they do special jerseys just for the Army Navy game,
Yeah.
which I think has been
Huge.
first class. And you never know because it's a big secret all the way till about the week before.
Right.
No one knows what they're going to do.
uniform was going to
There's
look
a lot
like
of
and what it was gonna do.
speculation. And
Yeah, it's great stuff.
And it's great. I mean, it's the one time I think we enjoy Fashion Week. That
Absolutely.
it's like, all right, what are
Absolutely.
they going to do for the junior?
And let me tell you something. I got to say this for our listeners who don't get the military, and we got a lot of patriots who listen, but they're not that familiar. uniforms are a very, very big deal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And a big I think I've said this on the show before. The Army has gone back to their what they call their pink and greens.
Yep, which we love.
And that's a World War II era uniform. The first time I saw it, I was so honored. And I want to make sure I get his name right. And it's blanking on me, but he is one of the most recent Medal of Honor recipients. And I was honored to sit with him at the Medal of Honor Society dinner. I got invited at the very last
Sergeant
minute.
Major?
Sergeant Major, it's Patrick.
I know who you're talking
And
about.
he goes by...
I don't remember his last name. But
Is it Thompson?
I think it maybe.
I am so sorry that I didn't know his name. Absolute great individual, terrific set, and talked with him and his wife. Super classy guy. And he's kind of tall, and I mean, he looks, well, he's a little too baby-faced to be a sergeant major. I was a little surprised at that. And he's still serving, too. And that's just got to be a lot of fun for him. He said, yeah, he goes, man, I don't want to retire. I'm having a great time.
Well, Leo
But
Petrie
the
was the
first
same
time
way.
I had seen the pink and greens in person, and I was really like, and having been a Marine, our standards, let's be honest, the Marine Corps standards for uniforms are so much higher than the other services. I mean, the Air Force uniforms you buy them off the rack.
Yep.
Ours are custom tailored. You do not just buy a uniform and put it on and wear it. They're made of better material. I used to love, we called them Class A, so it's the green jacket that you wear like a suit jacket.
Right.
But dress blues, tennis shoes, and a light coat of oil.
Yep.
I tell you what, you can tame a town just with that uniform.
Oh, they're hands down beautiful looking uniforms, all that. But back to the game. So right now, we've got Air Force sitting at 2-0.
So now we're talking about the commander in
Well,
chief
we're not
trophy.
there yet. We're not there yet.
Well, you started talking about records.
Navy now is 1-1.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well,
yeah,
no.
you're right. You're not, because the only thing that matters to the commander in chief trophy is
between
head-to-heads.
the head-to-heads.
3 head-to-heads.
So the overall record, they're 1-1. I believe, Navy's 1-1. Or did they lose their opening game?
I think they lost.
Oh, so they're 0-2.
I don't remember. Yeah, Navy may not be going bowling this year, which is we
First
were on
time,
the phone
well, no,
earlier.
last year-
We're going to come back to it, to the Armed Forces Bowl.
Yep.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
But let's talk. Now we've got
We're talking
my
about the
boys.
next game coming up.
Next, well, we all right, fine. We'll talk about the next game.
What
Next
were you going
big
to talk
game.
about? Go ahead.
We'll finish with the Army. We're going to lead into it.
Oh, you wanted to brag about the Army record.
Yeah, our record, we're looking pretty good right now.
That looking
right?
pretty good.
We're looking good. Our ground attack, as always, is first class.
Ground and pound, baby. Ground and pound.
Yep. Yeah, to be quarterback for the Army, you don't have to even if you can pass the ball past the line of scrimmage, that's all that matters. Once,
Pretty much.
Yeah, we average like 400 plus yards per game on the ground, and like
So for our
16
fans who don't follow football as closely as degenerates like Andrew and I do, Army, Air Force, and Navy have realized is they can't compete body on body with the level of schools they play against. They play against a pretty good level of school. They're playing what we call group of five. So you have the Power Five in D1 football and then the group of five. So you've kind of got two tiers in the top tier, and then you step down, and that's FBS football bowl series. And then you have FCS football, which is football championship series.
Yep.
So because they didn't like being called D2. Anyway, Division II. So all three of them have adopted the triple option attack, which is the old wishbone from the Darrell Royal and Barry Switzer days. Bear Bryant ran it in Alabama for a long time. It's a very difficult offense to stop if you don't prepare for it every week. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, nobody else really runs it. Georgia Tech ran it for a long time with Paul something or other, who came from Navy. He was the one that Coach N replaced because he went from Navy to Georgia Tech.
did not know that.
And did very, very well with it. But let me talk a little bit, because we didn't run the wishbone offense, which is 3 running backs in the backfield with the quarterback, but we ran an option offense with 2 running backs. And so I was very, very intimately familiar, and at that point in time, frankly, the option offense was very popular. But one of the advantages of it is that, and we were talking before, and I wanted to tie in what you were saying, which is absolutely correct. Navy, Air Force, and Army cannot recruit the quality of football player for the most part. And when I say
your
quality,
Trevor Lawrences are never going to show up at any service academy.
they've got other options.
Yep.
And Trevor obviously didn't want to cut his hair. And I say that it's not necessarily a question of talent. It's a question of size.
Agreed.
But you've got somebody who's a 5'10", 180-pound quarterback or athlete, and he can be a wide receiver and anything else. He can go to Navy. He can go to Air Force. He can go to Army. And not only is he on one of the most amazing campuses, I absolutely love
all
the
3 campuses are first class, beautiful.
Just amazing. And West Point might be the finest of them, and it sits up on a bluff over the Hudson River. And in the fall, it is,
first class.
Painting gorgeous. It's just a piece of Americana. The Naval Academy is at Annapolis, which is still this really neat little town right on the Chesapeake Bay, just east of D.C. And then the Air Force Academy is in Colorado Springs. But back to the players. You can go and you can compete. And one of the guys that I served with was John Taylor. And I hate it. I've lost touch with John Taylor. So if anybody knows what happened to the Marine John Taylor, give him a shout out from me. I think he knew me as E Cheese back then. I actually picked up my handle in flight school. And that's a story I'll tell at some other time. It's kind of funny. At least I thought it was funny. But he was actually good enough. He was 6'4" and went about 275, 280 in his playing days.
Right.
But realize for a Naval Academy or a West Point player, he was huge.
Oh, yeah.
He was absolutely
monster.
huge, monster lineman. And it was an amazing athlete, too. I played basketball with him a few times and was just blown away by how athletic he was. But the Raiders basically told him, if you didn't have to serve 6 years, we'd draft you.
And it brings up to a great point that we're talking about. President Biden and Secretary of Defense Austin has eased the restrictions for service academy players to enter the NFL.
Interesting.
And delaying their service to our country. Now, my question with that is in a contact sport like football, instead of going to serve, whether it's the Army, Navy, Air Force, you enter camp. NFL, the acronym stands for not for long. All right? Everyone knows that. What happens if he tears up his knee or gets some type of career-ending football? But then again, in the military, he blows out his knee where he's not capable of passing a fitness test. What
he
happens?
gets medically retired in that scenario. But I think the other scenario is you can blow out a knee.
Yep.
You may not be able to play football anymore, but you certainly can. A lot of times you can serve.
Possibly depending on the injury.
It depends on the injury. But I find that interesting, and that draws to mind one of our future guests is going to be Clint Bruce, who was a Naval Academy grad, was a Navy SEAL, and played for the Baltimore Ravens. So
and Miami, right?
I don't remember the other school. I thought it was New Orleans, but
No. He played for the Ravens,
Baltimore.
And he played for 2 teams, I thought.
Yeah, he played for 2 teams.
Same with Miami was the other team.
Okay.
Whatever.
So
we'll
one
find
of the
out.
other teams. We'll ask him when we get him on the show. Chad Hennings of Dallas Cowboy fame flew multiple missions in the first Gulf War, flying A-10s.
Which, if anyone's ever seen the cockpit of an A-10 and
huge.
seen Chad Hennings, how the heck did he fit in there?
Well,
what kind of?
That was the only fighter aircraft he could qualify to fly.
I know, and he's a big man.
Big man.
There's a lot of Crisco that needs to go in to get him into that thing. All right?
Now, the thing was, he said it was actually, I've heard him interviewed about it, he said it was actually pretty comfortable. So that worked out well for him. So it does happen.
Yep. But they did not have delayed service. They had delayed entry into the NFL. They still served. The Admiral. But But he had
He
a
was a
special
little different.
situation
We're
because he
talking about
outgrew Navy regulations. David
Robinson. Thank you. I couldn't remember his first name for a second. I had the last name. His circumstances were he grew taller than would fit on a Navy ship.
Yep.
So he kind of got a little bit of a pass from
He
that
got
standpoint.
into the reserves or something like that where he finished up his?
I think he did. I think he finished as a logistics officer in the reserve to serve out his time. But face it, these guys are great publicity for the service
absolutely.
academies.
And that's good stuff.
So, and I'm not sure. I'm going to have to get a time check from our because you were going to turn the timer on and you didn't do it.
Well,
30 minutes. So
All
we're
right.
at 30 minutes. Okay, so we're going to take the next 15 minutes of the show.
You got to talk about
We're
the
gonna
Army game first. Then we're
Okay,
going to
talk about the Army game.
And of
Dying
course,
to talk about the Army
got to
game.
talk about the Army game because guess what?
Who'd Army play?
Western Kentucky.
Oh my God! Talk about a is that even a D1
Yes,
school?
it is. It is a good program. You know,
Western Kentucky's a good program.
they've made the bowl games. Now, granted, last couple of years, you know, we do have.
We're talking about the Tiddlywink Bowl down in New Orleans.
Hey,
Come on.
it's still a bowl game. Still a
This is true.
six-win team.
This is true.
All right.
All right, we got to get the program
We were
back
there,
on track. We're
and
running out of time here.
We're 2-0, and right now, getting ready. In a few weeks, we're going to talk about it. If you bring up,
Let's bring up our
the Army uniform, which
there we go.
Classic. You know,
yeah.
they went
Nothing
traditional.
special.
Well, we're saving ours for the
You got to
big
save
game.
the good stuff for the big game.
Exactly.
I get it.
And that's tradition.
Not a bad looking uniform.
No,
but
not
just
bad at all.
doesn't compare to that Navy
No,
uniform.
no,
I'm sorry, nothing well.
It's a good looking
My
one.
new favorite uniform. It's
Well,
even
we're
past
getting
the
ready
University of
for
Texas.
November 6th, right here.
Oh, yes,
in
right here in DFW in
Arlington, Texas, at Globe Life Stadium.
Yeah,
The Commanders Classic. For the next 2 years, Army and Air Force will duke it out in Arlington. This year, Air Force is considered the home team, which who is really the home team on a neutral field?
Yeah, you flip a coin.
They get to choose what uniform they
Yep.
get to wear first. That's all it means, really.
Absolutely.
But if you think about it, we do have a lot of Air Force presence in the DFW area.
We do.
And
Well, now let me say this. I'm going to tangent on you again.
okay,
The Texas Veterans Commission breaks the state of Texas down into 8 regions.
right.
DFW is at the heart of Region 8, and basically, if you go over to basically to Wichita Falls, down south to just north of Waco.
Right.
Everybody down here calls it Waco. It looks more like Waco to me. And then over to about Paris. That's Region 8. Largest number of veterans in the state.
No, I had no
So
doubt
now,
about
most
that,
people
yeah.
would say San Antonio or
Well, only because
surprisingly,
of the
San
base.
Antonio's third, Houston second.
Not surprised at all. Not surprised at all. But let's go to this game. So it's a 2-year contract. Army will be home next year. But we have a large concentration of alumni from
Absolutely.
both service academies in this area. Actually, all 3 service academies really in this area, but those 2 in particular. It's going to be a great game. It is going to be
It's
awesome.
gonna be an
'cause
absolutely great game, and we are going to be part of an informal push, but we would love to see the DFW area and the veterans in the DFW area really turn out for this game.
It's going to be fun football to watch.
Some great football.
Guaranteed. That is going to be a great game. Not only that, but the atmosphere. I mean, let's go. You want to talk about some fun tailgating?
Oh yeah, so you can come join Kilroy's conversation.
Actually, that's what we need to do. Let's
we're gonna
have
do a tailgate.
tailgate.
The Kilroy's conversation
JP,
tailgate.
I hope you are listening right
Yeah,
now.
you're going to have to get the RV out there.
RV.
We're going to have to do a little tailgating.
Absolutely.
We're going to broadcast the show from inside the stadium.
And outside
we will be
tailgate.
We will be interviewing people for the show because that following Thursday,
Yep.
we are going to have Kilroy's conversation is going to join JP, Kathy, and the crew.
For
You like how I
Veterans Day.
did that, Kathy? For Veterans Day, we're going to have a Veterans Day telethon that is all the fundraising is going to support one of my favorite veteran service organizations, which is the Veteran Resource Center and Homeless Veteran Services of Dallas. It's kind of two. We haven't quite figured out how to come up with one name to cover both missions that we have. But we have served over 65,000 veterans in the North Texas area since we've opened our doors. Absolutely outstanding organization.
World class.
We are excited. We just were lining up right before the show. We were talking about our media passes and all that good stuff.
I got some ideas. I'm just going to throw out there for this game, and I'm thinking about the tailgate. All
We'll work on that.
No. You're going to like this. You're going to like this. And I'm going to challenge some of our listeners.
Oh, okay.
You don't even know this.
I know. We don't even know. We got 2 months to promote this.
I am going to.
3 months to promote this.
I'm going to hit you up, and you're going to love this. Let's do a tailgate.
2 months.
And let's feed the homeless from our tailgate spot at the event. So what I want to challenge is
can't get them there.
With challenge someone to help bring some of our homeless to that game, burgers, dogs, a whole 9 yards. We want food.
We can probably work this out.
We want to get whoever out there. Let's bring dogs. I'll bring my grills out there. We're going to, we got the homeless in those communities. Let's bring them out there. I know we can get a bus that will go down there and pick them up and bring them to that game.
Okay.
Let's get them out there.
That.
Let's challenge our listeners. We bring all, for tailgate, let's bring it all out there. And let's give these guys a world-class
That's actually
tailgate,
a really cool idea.
Idea.
A tailgate experience.
Tailgate experience. Hot dogs, dog. Let's do something. Donate a pig. And I just got a brand new. We can rotisserie. I got a spigot now. We can make.
It takes about 12 hours to cook a pig.
I don't mind getting up early in the morning.
All right. We're running out of time for the show. We got a great idea. We're going to be tailgating out there. We're going to be producing the show from out there. We're going to be interviewing people for our Veterans Day telethon, and we want everybody to tune into that.
You got also one thing that you don't know about this game.
I know there's probably a lot of
significance. Do you realize that this early in the season, since Air Force has already beaten Navy, the Commander-in-Chief trophy is actually up for grabs in that game because Air Force beats
that's right.
Army. They are the unanimous winner no matter what happens in the Army-Navy game.
This is true.
So they beat both service academies early in the season.
Yep. This
Think
will be
about
a
that.
huge game.
There is some.
This will be a huge,
very big implications for that
huge
game.
game.
That just makes that game.
I was mentally trying to do all the math there. Yes, this may very well be for the Commander-in-Chief trophy.
So if you're watching,
and again, if you don't know, all three of the service academies play head-to-head against each
trophy
other every year.
so they can see what they're playing.
There we go.
There it is.
There it is. So, and if you go around, that's the donkey. That's the someone say the jackass, and that is the.
And look at it, Air
United
Force
States
Army.
Oh, how cool! It did work out.
Coincidence.
That way.
We did not plan
the
this.
Air Force is a mascot is a falcon, and the Navy mascot
Billy
is a goat.
What is the significance of the goat?
We're going to have to look that up so we know that. Army, Navy.
There's a challenge we want to.
The
mule, because that's what brought the artillery pieces and the cannons.
That's true.
That's I know why we have the mule.
The caissons. They hold the caissons.
We know that one. The goat on boats. Now I could go somewhere with that, but I really don't want to go there. I don't think that's the reason why.
On so many levels.
But yeah, you never know.
So we're going to look that up. We're going to do the research, and we're going to let our people know. So, want to wrap up the show.
Yep.
So, Andrew and I have had ties to the Armed Forces Bowl every year. And the reason that the records for Army, Navy, and Air Force is so important is there is a school generally designated to play in the Armed Forces Bowl.
It rotates
but
amongst the service
they
academies.
don't have to play in that bowl if they get a better bowl bid.
Correct.
In the bowl's bid, and there's a pecking order and yada, yada, yada. So last year was the first year in a while, and unfortunately, none of the service academies – well, fortunately for the service academy, all the service academies – Navy didn't qualify for a bowl.
Both Air Force
Everybody
and
else
Army got
qualified
better
for a
ones.
better bowl. So that's one of the reasons the record is so important, although I think in hindsight they would have gladly taken the Navy team to come play.
Yeah, it was not.
It was at the end of the game turned into an absolute mess, and it was a disappointment. Normally, it actually is a very, very good football game.
Very good. You get to see some really cool, and it's one of those games where you can actually be right there.
You're right there. It's over at TCU's Amon Carter Stadium. It is a phenomenal college venue. It's a great venue for college. We're generally up in the end zone box, not in the suites. That's where the fancy people get to go. But we get to go in the suites, and we get to socialize with a lot of the veterans. But these are two games. The Commanders Classic, that'll be at Globe Life Park, and the Armed Forces Bowl. We are really trying to get people out to them. One of the events at the Armed Forces Bowl that is so cool is they have the Veteran Village tailgate,
which is always a good time.
Always great, and they have all these different veteran service organizations that set up shop. That'll be going on. It's on December 22nd this year, which will be just obviously a little bit before Christmas. Perfect time for a game. I think the veteran tailgate will open at either 3 or at 4, and I believe it's a 7 o'clock kickoff. But it's the kind of thing where you can come out and spend the afternoon and spend the evening, and it's just a great experience.
Fun is just really an understatement to describe. It's a good game to see. You know, in fact, we've seen some quality players. I was at the game, and think you and I were both at the game when Jared Goff was playing for Cal, remember, versus Air Force Academy.
Absolutely.
So we got to see a future NFL player right there, and that was a big game. That was
a big game. It was a good game too.
It wasn't, I think, until the very end where I think Cal opened up on them, but for 3 quarters,
it's generally a 4-quarter game.
Yeah, it's definitely not a game you want to leave early on because you're going to miss something. I think traditionally, almost every year.
Then there was the year that Army blew out Cougar High.
That was a lot of fun.
University of Houston. Oh, man, did they get trumped. My buddy Mark Corwin doesn't like it when I bring that game up.
And wasn't that a former UT head coach, Major Applewhite?
Was Major coaching there?
Yes, he was.
I have to be honest. I'm not a big fan of Major. I unfortunately know some things from behind the scenes, and he did legitimately get caught fooling around while his wife was pregnant, and that's just – you try not to do those morality plays, but that's kind of a line you just, to me, don't cross.
Kind of like Hunter Biden, Yeah.
Oh, my, it's like we're not even going to go there. So listen.
We're wrapping up. We had a lot of fun.
Phenomenal show.
This was a good time.
We can do another half hour. We're talking football.
Yeah. Especially, and then when you talk Service Academy football.
Oh, yeah.
We literally, we could probably do this. We are going to be doing this all season long. Well, maybe not after November 6th if Air Force wins.
Man, the Commander-in-Chief Trophy may be over. But I think it'll be really cool that we'll be able to be there to see the winner.
Because guess what? If Army wins, do you know how significant that makes Army-Navy game this year?
Oh, yeah. That becomes even bigger.
Oh, it becomes huge.
Yeah.
It becomes a real dogfight on that one. So, with that being said, for Chuck and I, we're going to say hoorah.
Gotta give Nathan a shout out.
Nathan, our man, thank you for running the board today. It's been a good time.
The only problem with Nathan is he starts jumping in, and you can't get him off the microphone.
Exactly. He just likes to talk too much. But anyways, we had fun. For Chuck and I, we're going to say hoorah and oorah. See you all next week.
Outstanding.
Bye now.